Hey dudes, so you'll notice that this video is a little bit longer than the ones I usually do. You're going to see the whole process in real time of one of my Femon drawings, from sketch to ink work to watercolor, without the magic of speed duration editing. The audio for this video is going to be my interview with my mom that I've done with the upcoming issue of Growing Pains, which is all about growing up and our attempts at adulthood. So I'll be chatting with my mom about her experience of being a mother and discovering who she is as her own person as well. Now, Growing Pains issue number 3 isn't out yet, so this is a bit of a sneak peek for my Patreon users and supporters, and will go public after the issue is out. There's some additional stuff in here that I couldn't include in the written interview with my mom because it was just too much content. So there's a little bit of extra here, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. For a little bit of context here, my mom and dad have both been together their entire married lives. My sister is 28 and lives in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm 25 and I live on the Isle of Wight in the UK. And my parents both live in Brighton, Ontario. So we're a bit spread out all over the map.
Oh. So, how did you see yourself in your late teens and early 20s?
Invincible.
Mm.
I didn't really have a plan at that point as to what I wanted to do as an actual adult. So at that point I was, I guess, trying to just experience as many things as I could at that time.
When did you decide to have kids?
And again, I didn't really decide that. It just seemed like that was the norm, and that's what you did. You got married, you had kids. I actually remember I thought I was pregnant about 2 months before your dad and I got married. And we were quite disappointed when I found out I wasn't. So it was just hand in hand, marriage and babies.
Fair enough.
Mm.
How did having kids affect your friendships and relationships with other people?
Yeah, as I said before, I didn't really have many friendships before that. There was the odd person from jobs here and there that I would hang out with, but after having babies, actually, that's when I ended up having more friends, because I became friends with other mothers.
Neat. What's been the scariest part about having kids?
Just the worry and concern that something could hurt or harm my babies that would not be in my control. You always want to have that protective wing over your kids. And there's always that thought in the back of your mind that there's going to be instances where you can't be there for them. And, as much knowledge as you want to try and give them to help send them off into the world, that worry and concern is always there. Always there.
Do you remember before when you were telling me about the fire drills?
Yeah, and I don't know why, because I've never, thankfully experienced a house fire or anything like that, but I always would run that scenario through my head as to how, to get you guys safely out of the house, especially you, when we moved to Curtis. because you were in the upper floor. Sam could get out. She had a window. She had a door. You only had a second floor window. So I would sit there at night and just run through scenario after scenario on how to make sure that you would be safe in that situation.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But I guess like so many moms have that as well, where they've got, you know, like either one thing or like tons of things, and you just try and over plan for it and almost like create your own fear in that way.
Well, exactly. I'm sure it would perpetuate that whole thought, you know, just by, you know, continually thinking about it over and over again.
Mm. What's been the most rewarding part?
Seeing where you guys are now. Seeing how you guys experience the world in your own ways. And how you interact with other people. And I don't know, just bringing your own personalities into the world and sharing that with everybody else. Seeing how much further you can go than, you know, I myself did.
For a lot of mums, their kids become like the most important thing in their lives. And was that true for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because as I said, I didn't really have a direction or a goal when I was a late teen in my young 20s. So, yeah, being a mother definitely brought importance, I guess, into my life. But it also changed and shaped myself as a person because, you know, as I said, I was quite, I guess, shallow and I never really thought beyond myself before I was a mother. So it was always what I could get out of life, what I could experience. And then obviously when I had you and Sam, it was more of now what can they experience and how can I share them and how can I show them. So yeah, that definitely brought a lot of importance into my life.
What's been the second most important?
I guess now that you guys are grown, I guess now it's my chance to kind of see what kind of person I truly am without you. And I guess it's not really going back to my shallow ways, but I guess it's more of just, you know, really finding out who I am, what I can do on my own. But in the same regards, I guess, share that with other people as well. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just other people who aren't your kids now.
Well, yeah.
And that kind of leads into, like, I guess one of my last questions. How do you see yourself now in your 50s?
Well, it's funny because I still feel like I have the mentality of a 20-year-old. So it's kind of like that whole period of having you guys and bringing you guys up was a part of my life. And now I've basically reverted back to that mentality, but with all hindsight. Now, obviously, you know, like learning from all of my previous mistakes and things like that, now that I can I don't know, I feel like I'm just repeating myself here.
All right. Take your time.
I guess it's, I still feel like I'm invincible. But I guess I don't know, there's even less fear now because I have more knowledge of what I can and cannot do. Yeah, I guess having that extra knowledge actually just gives you a little bit more bravery in developing yourself as a person.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Makes getting old a little less scary.
Well, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, because when you're younger, obviously, I mean, there's so many unknowns, and it obviously, I mean, it depends on what type of person you are. Are you the type of person let's jump off the cliff and find out what happens, or are you like, I'm not sure, Yeah. And now it's like, hey, okay, that cliff's not so bad. I've got this and this and this in my tool belt. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, you become a little bit more confident in your abilities. Nice.
It's pretty cool being able to talk to my mom about all these different things that I'm sure other moms have struggled with, especially the stay-at-home kind, and maybe even other dads as well, in finding themselves and figuring out who they are when you're so attached to your partner and so attached to your family that sometimes it's hard to separate the two. I'm really lucky that me and my mom have the kind of relationship where we can have these kinds of conversations. And I just want to take a little break in the interview to remind you guys to try and have honest conversations with the people that you love and the people that are important in your lives.
About other members in the family, when you end up with somebody at such a young age, you don't truly find out who you are. And you end up relying on the other person, basically, to bring out your own personality. And I guess that kind of happened with me, obviously. And I still tried to, like, little things here and there, try to push out with my personality. But yeah, over the years, yeah, you do end up, kind of melding into one person. So now I find that I'm actually at that point in my life where I can actually, find out exactly who I am.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to not become diluted by the person that you're with, or to not, I've been talking about this a lot with other people, and that, if you start picking up all of the things that your partner likes to do, and then you look at it and you're like, oh, what have they picked up from me, or am I just slowly absorbing bits of them?
But also too, it has to do with the generation as well, because again, going back, you fall in love, you get married, you have babies, yada yada yada, and that's the way your life goes. And now with your generation, and hopefully generations from here on in, it won't be like that. You will be able to develop who you are and how you fit into the world and how you can contribute to everything before you commit to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And like, did you ever imagine yourself like having kids and having the life that you
There
had?
you go. That was one of the questions
Yeah.
before. No. Again, like, I was not one of those girls, at 5 years old that sat there and dreamed about the perfect wedding and being a princess on her wedding day. And no, I never did that. To be honest with you, it was your dad that wanted to get married in a church. So I thought, oh, okay, so if we're going to go down this route, okay, we'll do the big wedding and everything else. And as far as a family and everything else is concerned, again, I didn't put that much thought into it initially, because it was just, it was supposed to be the norm, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so you just kind of fall into what society sort of expects from you.
Yep. As well, because initially, like, I was kind of like Sam. I was kind of out in left field as to how to bring you guys up. Like, we didn't have Google back then. Like, my child's crying. Why is this child crying? I don't know. Let's figure out this, and you had to go through a list, right? And it probably wasn't until, gosh, I'd say Sam's second year, really, of life that, I got truly into mothering. Yeah, and totally switched over to, okay, how can we develop this girl's life,
Yeah. Do you think you suffered any sort of like postpartum or like any kind of like, obviously any sort of first baby's year or any baby's first year of life is difficult when you're a new mom, but
I don't think, no, not really. Sure, it was, scary initially, and I do remember at some point thinking, oh my goodness, this child is going to take up 24/7 of my life. But that was a fleeting thought, really, because then you just flip over and you go, okay, I'm a mom now. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
like kind of nice to have that sort of direction after.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. Not having a direction as a late teen or whatever. Yeah. I guess that's why I welcomed, having babies and going from there, because it did give me direction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I guess it must be difficult now too, being a grandma and not having your grandson now.
Yeah, that was really tough, actually. It was a great time with Darian, and I love to see it brought back a lot of memories, actually, of when you guys were young, and how wide-eyed you were about learning, all these new and interesting things. So that was kind of, exciting to re-experience with him. But as I was saying, like, these are moments that you just cannot keep trying to replicate or just continually go, because you just have to accept the fact that this is just a period in your life. Enjoy it while it is, and then move on.
Yeah, everything's temporary, isn't it?
It is. It truly is. And I think the more we strive to, or at least the more I tried to strive to always keep things that way, I think the more disappointed I would get.
What do you mean
Because,
by
well,
that?
because not accepting, the situation, or not the situation, but for that time period, like not accepting that it's like, this is just a capsule in your life. And then you move on to the next one, and then you move on to the next one. As I said, I always wanted to, like, keep stretching out that capsule.
Yeah, it's almost like holding on too tight to those moments makes you not experience the one you're in.
Exactly. You're never living in the present moment. You're always, trying to, keep the future the same, I guess.
Interesting. Anything else you want to end off on? Could be advice to new moms, advice to women who haven't even considered it, advice to, I don't know. Doesn't have to be advice, to be fair.
I can certainly see why a lot of the moms that I did become friends with ended up waiting even 5-7 years longer than I did to have babies. And again, just to help develop your own self before you're bringing new life into the world. And I would highly recommend that for anybody. I don't think you truly know. I don't even think you can come close to knowing who you are that young. And I really think you need that before you definitely try and share new experiences with a child.
On the other hand, it's also meant that you've been young enough for us to hang out and be really good friends later in life.
That's very true. That's very true.
So.
I've been able to experience, more adult things with you guys, actually. Which again, is its own little capsule,
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, I think that I'm very thankful that I had both girls and not boys, just because, again, coming from my generation, I don't mean to sound sexist or anything, but I think just being able to experience more personal things with you guys, different things than your dad has been able to.
Yeah, definitely. It does definitely create a better space for connecting in some ways, because there isn't that sense of, like, competition anymore.
Yes. Anymore. Good point.
Yeah. That's really nice. Thanks.
Yeah.
What a nice chat.
Yeah, very nice.
So, thanks for hanging out till the end of the video and the end of the interview. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the drawing process and the conversations we've been having. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, as cringy as it is. And I will post the links for the Patreon if you'd like to see more of this content / get it earlier, and the Etsy shop so that you can find the zine.